And that beauty stems from the Buddha nature in all of us. Let me interpret briefly the religious history and the environment in Hiroshima that offers us some hints regarding the path to follow. Excuse me. Hiroshima is known as an area where many followers of a particular sect of Buddhism called the Jodo Shinshu happen to live. An oversimplified way to summarize its teaching is that abandoning oneself to the mercy of Buddha would lead you to the Pure Land. To me, the most significant part of the teaching is that one journey does not end there in the Pure Land. Once one reaches the other world, one then returns to the secular world to help others so that all humanity will be saved as well. The Hibakusha's efforts can be interpreted within this framework of returning to the secular world to save humanity. Having had a glimpse of the other world, the Hibakusha returned to this secular world to save us from the evil of this world, especially from nuclear weapons. Their actions are thus guided by their Buddha nature itself and are consequently universal. This also offers an answer to a question many Hibakusha ask themselves. It is a very grave one that is difficult to answer. Why did I survive while so many others died? I know a Hibakusha personally very well, whose entire class died, while only he survived. He was sick that day and did not go to school. But he still asks, why? Tamiki Hara, a Hibakusha and a novelist who chronicled the fate of Hiroshima and the Hibakusha, captured his survival in the following words. It must be providence that I continue to live and tell what has happened. To accomplish this goal, the Hibakusha have literally done everything they could. They have traveled to almost every nation on the planet to speak to any group that invites them. In Hiroshima, they speak nearly every day. I know that one of our more active Hibakusha has, for many years, averaged 33 ABOM testimonies per month. That's more than one a day. And somehow she manages to keep her story powerful, emotionally moving, and directly related to current events. If any of you have had truly traumatic experience and have talked about those experiences, you will understand what a superhuman feat I'm describing. Not many people are capable of this level of emotional control and sacrifice. I do believe it is indeed a miracle that we have as many of them as we do. And tonight, I'm happy to report that we are sitting with one beautiful miracle among us, Ms. Emiko Okada. And may I add that behind every Okada-san, there are many who have wholeheartedly dedicated themselves to working toward the same goal. Behind each of you here tonight, there are a multitude more who also have worked with us over the years. It seems to me that people who have suffered from catastrophic events such as war and natural disaster, almost without exception, also come to the conclusion, never again. Those who have the compassionate and intelligent imagination require to visualize the thin veil separating reality from the other world also seem to come to the same conclusion. All of you here share that imagination and compassion. Citizens around the world who experienced atrocities of war and felt the pain of cruelties and violence also have come to the same conclusion: never again. That is why Mayors for Peace is the fastest growing NGO in the world, now with 5,418 member cities. And I learned since I came to visit this temple that this beautiful pipe organ behind me has 5,613 pipes, and that number should be the next goal for Mayors for Peace to achieve. That is that number of member cities by the end of this year. I think that's achievable. And the total population of these cities is approximately 1 billion. And 1/2 of the world's population now live in cities. And I do believe that they desire, just as Hiroshima citizens do, a nuclear weapons-free world. Shouldn't this majority be enough to make the world peaceful? On the contrary, our minds are bombarded by the negative images of atrocities in the world, murders on TV, child soldiers forced to kill other children, tortures and starvation that go on, and I really don't have to go on telling you all of these. No wonder Bob Dylan lamented, and many singers from Joan Baez to Peter, Paul and Mary, to Elvis Presley, to Dolly Parton even, sang this song. Yes, how many years must one man have before he can hear people cry? Yes, how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? And the song ends poetically with, "The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind." That's a song. But in reality, I claim, based on my experience and what I have observed as mayor of Hiroshima, that the wind is not the only means by which the answer, the truth, spreads around the world. Ms. Okada is carrying the answer and spreading it to the rest of the world. Hundreds of thousands of souls that departed us in Hiroshima and Nagasaki are sending their voices, messages, and their hearts through survivors such as Ms. Okada to all of us. Tens of millions of those who perished during World War II and subsequent wars are conveying their wishes that their tragedies not be repeated through survivors to all of us. We hear the message, "Never again," loud and clear. We have been hearing this message for many years from these people, and as a result, humanity as a whole has become more peaceful. Yes, you heard it right. The world at this time is less violent and more peaceful than at any other time of a millennia of human history. That is the thesis of a monumental book titled The Better Angels of Our Nature, written by Professor Steven Pinker of Harvard University. According to Professor Pinker, looking back through millennia, we now live in a world less violent than any other in the history of the human race in practically all spheres of activities, from the family to the world. I would like to show you a couple of graphs out of hundreds, courtesy of Professor Pinker, that illustrates the point. This is Reagan-Gorbachev meeting in Reykjavik in 1986, where they almost came to eliminate all nuclear weapons. But for the time limit, I cut the story short, but I wanted to show you the picture. This is the G8 speakers were Speaker Pelosi is wearing gray toward the left. And this is Buddha in Buddha nature. Sorry, I forgot about showing these slides beforehand. And these are the people who have spoken to eliminate nuclear weapons. And now this is the slide I'm talking about. This is the homicide rate in England from 1200 through 2000. And you can see there is an amazingly clear downward trend toward zero. The important thing is, according to Professor Pinker, that this same trend can be observed in practically in all human activities, including family, neighborhood, business, organization, nation, and the world. To offer a glimpse of this fact-based persuasive argument, let me present his list of 5 major historical forces that favor our peaceable motives. Let's see, let me go back. Okay. First is the Leviathan, a state and judiciary with a monopoly on the legitimate use of force. The second is commerce, a positive-sum game in which everybody can win. The third force is feminization, the process through which cultures have increasingly respected the interests and values of women. The fourth force is cosmopolitanism, including literacy, mobility, and mass media, enabling people to encounter the perspectives of people unlike themselves and to expand their circles of sympathy. The fifth force is the escalator of reason, which forces people to recognize the futility of cycles of violence and reframe violence as a problem to solve rather than a contest to be won. Now, I'd like to show you another one, the second one. The second one shows the change in war deaths in some detail. This shows the pre-Leviathan days with higher war deaths per 100,000 population in comparison with the post, and this is the average. Okay, this is before nation states emerged. And after nation states became a reality, this is the number of deaths. I believe this is, I can't read it from here, but Russia in the 20th century, this should be Germany in the 20th century, and Japan in the 20th century, and this is the average for the 20th century. And finally, the last one, which you cannot even see, is the number of deaths in war in 2005. So when you look at the world average for the 20th century and 2005, you see where we are headed, especially in comparison with the world in pre-Leviathan days. Now let me emphasize again that the mayors around the world who arise from the collective consciousness of the citizens of any city do feel that such a trend exists, and voicing their understanding by joining and working with Mayors for Peace. They also understand that the 5 historical forces Professor Pinker mentioned are also characteristics of a good city. To explain this better, I'd like to introduce as a connecting factor the concept of diversity. It is the theme of research of another professor, Professor Richard Florida of Toronto University, conducted over 25 years to show that first, the world economy is driven by key cities, and that cities drive the economic, cultural, and creative energy from diversity, and the catalyst that makes this possible is tolerance. Furthermore, there is a simple and effective way to measure any city's vibrancy: the Gay Lesbian Index, that shows how tolerant the city is to its gay lesbian population.